Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I'd like to start by welcoming our managers, 6 of you, to this important meeting. So today's meeting, our purpose is to discuss and analyze the financial statements of Dutch Lady and FarmFresh, and we are aiming to evaluate their financial position and performance because we have to choose one company to invest. So before we delve into the details, please allow me to introduce our agenda for today. So we'll begin with reviewing financial statements of both companies, and then we will explain the ratio analysis techniques we'll be employing. After that, we'll move on to identify the strengths and weaknesses and potential areas for improvement, and finally we'll conclude with providing recommendations on whether shares of Dutch Lady or FarmFresh are worthy for investment, and we have to decide which one we want to invest. So I will start from the introduction of the company.
Good morning. Today I'll be giving the introduction on Dutch Lady Milk and FarmFresh. So, Dutch Lady Milk is a company that produces dairy products ever since the 1960s, where they first produced sweetened condensed milk in Petaling Jaya, Selangor, Malaysia. So, in 1975, they changed their name to Dutch Baby Milk, which was later modernized to Dutch Lady Milk. So next would be FarmFresh, which is formerly known as Holstein Milk Company, Sdn Bhd. It was established in the year 2008 by a man, where he established the company in Johor. So he began by bringing 60 Holstein cows to Malaysia, but the weather in Malaysia, which is tropical, is not suitable for the cows. So, but he had his breakthrough when Khazanah National invested in his business, in which they own 30% of FarmFresh today. So next, I'll be giving the similarities and differences between FarmFresh and Dutch Lady. Similarities is that the product that they offer is similar, as well as their quality is very similar. But their difference would be that FarmFresh is widely known for its local roots. So their products are primarily sourced from Malaysian farms. On the other hand, Dutch Lady Milk is known for their Dutch roots and producing milk globally. Next would be the limited product range for FarmFresh, where they only sell variety of fresh milk, yogurt and other dairy products. But on the other hand, Dutch Lady Milk, they sell a diverse product range in the market, where they offer fresh milk, Dutch Lady, also manufactured flavor milk, UHT milk, powder milk, yogurt and other dairy products. That's all from me.
Next, I'll be reviewing the liquidity ratio.
For the current ratio, FarmFresh is better than Dutch Lady. It shows FarmFresh high ratio is higher at 3.61 times compared to Dutch Lady at 1.12 times. It means FarmFresh has enough asset to cover liability. It indicates FarmFresh has no problem paying current obligation on time. For the asset test ratio, FarmFresh is higher at 2.80 times compared to Dutch Lady at 0.48 times. It indicates FarmFresh is better than Dutch Lady. It means Dutch Lady with asset test ratio less than 1 were not able to pay it in their obligation, therefore should be locked at recaution. That's all from me.
Next, I would like to look at the efficiency ratio, please.
I'll talk about the inventory turnover ratio. Based on the ratio, it shows that Dutch Lady is 5.05 times, while FarmFresh is 3.27 times. It implies that Dutch Lady is higher than FarmFresh, which means FarmFresh has low inventory turnover. As a result, the inventory of Dutch Lady will be fast to be sold. The main reason of FarmFresh is low demand due to the company is holding too much stock. Next, I'll talk about the statistic on account receivable turnover ratio. For the ratio, as you all can see, account receivable turnover ratio of Dutch Lady is pretty 60, whereas Farm Fresh is 135 days. It indicates the Dutch lady is shorter than Farm Fresh, where the company is more efficient in debt collection. What about, here comes the scenario if Farm Fresh hold account receivable collection for a long time. In a cost, the company faces an opportunity cost. As I'll pass the floor to Chairman.
Alright, next I'll be reviewing the leverage ratio, please.
Okay, about the debt ratio, Dutch Lady and Farm Fresh both have more asset than liability, which is a positive sign for their business. However, Farm Fresh have a better debt ratio, which could make them easier to gain more loans and secure favorable financial terms, but either way, both companies do have sufficient resources to cover their obligation. That's all for my part.
Next, time interest earn ratio.
Alright, so the main reason why we're going to do a time interest earn ratio is to see the interest obligation of our earnings. But based on the comparison that we made between Dutch Lady and Farm Fresh, we could see that Dutch Lady has a better ratio with a 7.58, while Farm Fresh only has a 6.92. But despite the differences, both are still considered to have positive ratio for the time interest earn ratio. So that's it for me.
Next, the important part, I would like to review the profitability ratio.
So based on my research on profitability ratio, I found out that Farm Fresh company actually earns a higher range of profit compared to Dutch Lady. So for example, the first one is related to gross profit margin. So for Farm Fresh, the company earns 27%, whereas Dutch Lady only earns 26%. So the difference is only 1%. So this means for every RM1 sales made, Farm Fresh earns 27 cents of gross profit, while Dutch Lady only earns 26 cents of gross profit. So the second example is related to net profit margin. So for Farm Fresh, the company earns 15% of net profit, while Dutch Lady only earns 3% of net profit. So the difference is quite big, which is around 12%. So for Farm Fresh, every RM ringgit sales made, the company will earn 15 cents of net profit, while for Dutch Lady is only 3 cents of net profit. Therefore, I think based on these two ratio, it shows that Farm Fresh is better in collecting its profit.
Next.
Next, I would like to mention about the return on total assets ratio is calculated by dividing a company earning after tax by its total assets. On the ratio above, it indicates that Farm Fresh is slightly better than Dutch Lady. It shows that Farm Fresh return on assets is slightly higher compared to Dutch Lady by just 1%. It means that Farm Fresh utilize their asset in a better way. And that's all for Baka.
Next, I want to know about the return on equity.
So I'll be presenting on the return on equity. So it is proven that the ROE for Farm Fresh is better than Dutch Milk, as Farm Fresh is leading by 1% than Dutch Lady Milk. So for every ringgit of equity, Farm Fresh generates net profit of 13 cents, while on the other hand, for every ringgit of equity, Dutch Lady Milk generates net profit of 12 cents. That's all for me.
Alright, so overall, I think, in my opinion, I think Farm Fresh is better. How about your opinions, EASON?
Based on my research on efficiency ratio, inventory turnover ratio, it results that Dutch Lady is much more better, but for Farm Fresh, as for the recommendation for Farm Fresh should cut down and slow moving and have a stock clearance, sales or offer promotion in order to boost up the inventory turnover. Same goes to the account receivable turnover ratio. Farm Fresh need to adopt a tighter collection policy or offer cash discount in order to encourage, for the early payment, so that you shorten the collection period.
Alright. How about you, Judy? What's your opinion?
In my opinion, I think Farm Fresh is better than Dutch Lady because based on the debt ratio, the Dutch Lady is 0.53 and for the Farm Fresh is 0.4. So I will choose the Farm Fresh.
Alright. How about NUFHAIL?
So I think I would decide more towards Dutch Lady side. The
Why?
main reason why I would choose Dutch Lady is because the interest obligation could cover the annual interest. So just by having the interest, I can just cover all the expenses. And compare if you're looking at debts, the comparison is not that far off. So I think inside a long-term scope, Dutch Lady is the win. But of course both are great, so I believe that there are good decisions in both ways.
Alright. How about the current ratio?
For the current ratio, my suggestion is to improve the Dutch Lady industry part is give discount to encourage early payment and give cash discount. For the asset test ratio, my suggestion is to improve the Dutch Lady milk industry part is reduce current liability by paying off the existing creditor or use long-term sources for financing. That's all for me.
How about your opinion, Jay?
I personally think that Farm Fresh milk is way better than Dutch Lady milk because based on the return on equity, it shows that Farm Fresh is way better than Dutch Lady, even though it's by 1%. And in the future, if Dutch Lady milk want to increase their ROE, they could lower the company cost of goods sold, which is the COGS, or the operational costs. So personally, I would say Farm Fresh.
Alright. How about Effie?
So based on my opinion, I think Farm Fresh company is the best. However, if Dutch Lady wants to increase their profitability, the company can reduce or decrease their selling price to ensure that there are higher sales of volume, and also they can cut their operating costs such as rent to increase their profitability.
Alright, thank you. So now, based on the comprehensive analysis we have made, I think Farm Fresh is better because if we want to invest on them, and we have to look at the important ratios, which is current ratios and the net profit margin and also the return on equity. And three of these, Farm Fresh did much better than Dutch Lady. So I announced I will decide to invest on Farm Fresh. So before we wrap up, any questions or any opinions?
It's a great idea since if we want to invest, of course we want profit and money. So I think Farm Fresh is a good idea.
That's right. Okay, so I think that's all for our meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.